Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Marvel Movie Mondays, the series on the channel where we go through the MCU's timeline. Anthony gets to experience most of these movies for the first time, and we just get to sit down and talk about what we've seen. It's great, it's fun, it's quirky, and I like doing this because it's a way to be fresh on the Marvel Universe as it expands as we move forward into Phase 6 right now, which is crazy. But we are going all the way back to Phase 2 because that's where we left off on. And we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 1 today. So, yeah, get ready. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is a very awesome movie. It was James Gunn's first movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that this movie just does everything well. James Gunn is a brilliant director. We know from all of his previous movies. You know, he directed Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2.
Scooby-Doo, and I actually fact-checked myself. He was involved in the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, James Gunn, we know and we love him, and he's the head of DC Studios over at Warner Bros. Now, and there's a lot of good stuff coming out there, and I'm very excited to see Superman and just to see everything going forward over there. But let's go back to one of the biggest projects in his lineup that made his career, I feel, and that would be Guardians of the Galaxy over at Marvel Studios. What did you think about this movie? Have you seen this before?
I've seen this movie twice.
Okay.
I just didn't remember the whole timeline. I know in this one, the Guardians actually kick off as a group when they defeat Ronan. So
yeah.
I thought this movie was great in terms of James Gunn's direction for this movie. Like, it's got a mix of everything. It's got a mix of good story developments. The choreography is good when it happens, when they fight. It also has good comedic values in this movie are great. I think it's a really well-paced movie, and it's great.
Yeah, I think that all the cast in this movie is fantastic, and James Gunn just knows how to juggle like a cast of like 5 characters at the same time. So we've seen it in the past, we see it now in this, and we're seeing it going forward. And I think that it's great because we got big stars in this. We got Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Zoe Saldana. We had
Bradley Cooper playing Rocket.
Yeah, and Vin Diesel playing Groot. So, like, it's a really awesome stacked cast. Not to mention all of the other actors that pop up in this. So.
There's Glenn Close plays Nova Prime.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of them.
So many actors. And this movie is just a fun time. And it also kicked off Marvel's probably best soundtrack, like, series ever. Because it's just classic 80s hits through the whole thing. And through the entire series going forward too. So I love every song that plays. I bought the volume 1 soundtrack like immediately after the movie, and it's one of my most listened to soundtracks. So.
I love the accentuation of the tape deck, the Walkman, all that stuff. In his ship, he has like a little station where his tape deck is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think this movie also just has like you were saying, the best comedic like elements too, because Rocket's hilarious, and Dave Bautista being so just like non-sarcastic as possible, just like completely serious, and everything that he says is hilarious. Like when they were like it goes over your head, he's like, nothing would go over my head, I would catch it.
Yeah, he goes, I like that knife, I will take it. He's like, that was my favorite knife.
Yeah, so I think that it's a really good fun mix of comedy, action, and just like 80s nostalgia. So
yeah,
I love it.
There's just so many good points. I love when Bradley Cooper as Rocket, like when they're in prison and they're coming up with a plan. He's like, Rocket's like, oh, this is easy, I've been in prison a lot of times, I'll break out. So they're going through their plan, and Groot is already executing it in the middle of the plan. So it's kind of like it's just funny. It's just, he pulls it out, he's like, well, I guess we're doing this now. So it just has all those little comedic things that are just sweet.
Yeah, and then also on top of that, you just get like Rocket asking for that guy's arm, like, and
Oh, the prosthetic
oh,
leg.
the prosthetic leg. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's like, where's the leg? He goes, I just wanted you to get it. I don't need it. He's like, what do you mean? I had spent credits on it. It's so funny.
Yeah, so it's really great and it's fun and it's also like a really cool emotional story with Peter Quill as he's learning to just like adapt in this universe because he was abducted as a kid from the planet. Now I wouldn't say necessarily he's definitely abducted, but like not in a bad situation, I guess, because the Ravengers do take him in and
It was Yondu.
house him. Yeah, Yondu and they give him like a full life as a space pirate, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the movie really does start off tragic. It starts in like 1988. He's in a hospital. He's just sitting there, and I think his music calms him because it starts off. He's in there. He's listening to "You're Not Alone."
Yeah.
And then I think his grandpa comes in and says, "Hey, you have to come in and see your mom," and she passes away, and he doesn't know how to react to it. But he does get a present from her, and we find out what that present is in the end of the movie. And then after that, it goes into him, he's in outrage. He doesn't know what to do. He runs outside, and that's when Yondu pretty much captures him, and he becomes a space pirate. 26 years later, he's looking for one of the Infinity Stones, or doesn't know it's the Infinity Stone.
Yeah, they end up finding
on Morag. It was on Morag.
Yeah, he ends up finding the Power Stone. So it's the first, or it's one of the first stones that Thanos is looking for, and we see that Ronan, kind of leads the charge on getting a hold of it, and then eventually does, and fusing it with his hammer. We had an epic fight scene at the end. I think it's really well done and really cool, especially with the Nova Prime, like spaceships.
How the spaceships gather in Nova Prime, how they connect together to stop Ronan's ship from coming down, and that this is the first time you see in the beginning. Well, I was going to roll back a little bit and say this: when you see Thanos' introduction, this is the first time when you see Ronan. And you also see Nebula and Gamora at the same time.
Yeah, and so and then we get like a little bit more in depth with the lore of them because like Nebula and Gamora are the daughters of Thanos, and we get that introduction. We as well as just more on like that side of the galaxy in the darker half. You know what I mean? And then one of my favorite. Like this movie has probably one of the most saddest moments in the MCU, and I think that's like when Groot like does his self-sacrifice thing. I think it's really beautiful, and I think it's like I was very emotionally moved.
I teared up. I teared up when I watched it again. I forgot how emotional that part was.
I think it's great.
It's awesome that Groot makes the ultimate sacrifice, and Rocket doesn't know how to react. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like,
"Yeah."
He says, I think he says, we are Groot.
We
or
are
something.
Groot.
We are Groot.
Because he always says, I am Groot. And
yeah.
so, like, then he's just like, it's kind of his way of saying, I love you guys. Like, so he's like, we are Groot.
But then at the end, you see the end credits. So, like, all these Marvel movies have end credits. And Dave Bautista's like here. He's like,
yeah,
with his eyes, and he peers over, and Groot's like this. He's like
the little baby Groot.
And then he looks over, and she stops and goes like this, and then he looks back over, and then he starts going like this again. So I thought it was really, really interesting and cool. Really cool those end credits too.
Dancing to what Michael Jackson's "I Want You Back."
Yeah, or something.
Yeah. It's man, this movie is just great. It's all the way through good, and I really like this movie a lot. There is also the dance-off scene at the end is hilarious to me.
Yeah, Ronan's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm distracting you, bro." And then that's when the Power Stone is relinquished, or they hit Ronan's hammer, and it loosens the Power Stone. It comes out, and then Peter reaches for it, and he grabs it. And this is when he realizes that he is human, but he's not human. He's like part, I forgot what they knit. Nova Prime kind of reveals who he is at the end. And
he's half celestial.
Yeah.
So it's it's very interesting and very cool, especially expanding on the Marvel Universe lore. And I think that this was such a cool entry into the MCU because it takes us to a different side of Marvel that we didn't like, that not many people explore. Before this movie, not really a whole lot of people knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. Like comic book readers, yeah, but even then in the comic books, I wouldn't even say that they go that far into giving these characters like so much spotlight. Yeah, they play major roles in events. Yeah, I've read a lot of comics with them in it, like prior to the MCU's introduction, but I didn't think that we were going to actually get the Guardians of the Galaxy ever. And so, like, this was a huge win for Marvel moving forward into expanding their characters on the big screen. So I really think that this was a great movie. If you were to rate this movie, what would you give it?
This movie is a solid 5 for me. I
Nice.
think it's a great movie. It has great cinematography, even with the special effects. I thought the pacing in this movie was really, really well done. The storytelling is good. The music, the soundtrack is awesome, and it's just a really solid Marvel movie for James Gunn's first approach of this. I was solely satisfied with this, so yeah, that's why it's a 5.
Yeah. I obviously like I love this movie. I give it a 4.5. I think that it's great. I think there could have been a little bit more meat. Maybe a couple of more nods to other characters, but that's just me. This is me more nitpicking than anything being a fan. Because obviously that's what we do as fans. um, but I love these movies, and I think that, like you said, everything's great. The story's great. The character development is great. The comedic elements are great. The soundtrack is phenomenal. Um, and yeah, that's how I feel about this movie. All right, so moving on into our last little bit of this episode, we have some trivia and some fun facts.
Oh no, he's busting it out for me. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this one.
I have some very basic trivia. Okay,
He's gonna give me easy ones. See,
so this is good, and it's MC related. So I just want to see what you would think. So we're gonna start with some simple questions.
okay,
All right,
okay.
what is Loki the god of?
God of mischief.
Okay,
Come on, Calvin. That one's really easy.
I,
He's like, I'm warming you up for
I
it.
tend- who can quote unquote do this all day?
Oh, he hit me with that. Do this all day. I know one. I know one of them. It's one of the Guardians, right?
It is not a guardian. It is a character. He always says, "I can do this all day."
Is it Deadpool?
It is not Deadpool. This is it's not Deadpool.
See, he hit me with a curveball now. Okay. I'll get a couple more attempts, and then if I fail, you're gonna tell me.
Yeah, I'll
Is
tell
it
you.
Wolverine?
Nope, not X-Men.
Okay, it's not X-Men. It's not a Guardian, so. Oh my god.
It's probably his most famous quote, honestly.
Oh, is it Captain America?
It is Captain America.
Yeah, I had to think about that for a second. I just thought about it more and more.
What master does Star-Lord serve?
Oh, Ego.
No,
Is it Ego?
no.
No, that's his dad.
I don't think you'll get this one yet because you
Oh.
haven't. Have you seen Avengers: Infinity War before?
Nope.
Okay, so
Mm.
I'm gonna let that one slide. I don't want to answer it because it's funny. It's funny when it happens. So let's go ahead and try this one.
I only knew Ego because I saw the second movie.
Let's see. What is the name of the aliens sent to destroy New York City in the Avengers?
Oh, I've already seen it. We already know. What is the name of the alien?
What are the names of the aliens?
Man, I
The
forgot.
race of aliens.
I forgot.
It is the Chitauri.
Chitauri, that's right.
And then we'll do one more for you. Let's see. Gotta pick a good one. I'm trying to like look through between easy, intermediate, and harder questions. So,
Are
let's
you
go.
using that Men's Health list? I think it was the one I used.
No,
I
I'm
forgot
not.
which list I was hitting you with last time. But we got to the end of that list, guys.
Okay, who sells vibranium to Ultron?
I know who it is. I just watched this.
Yeah.
Oh, I might be wrong though. It's Claw.
It is Ulysses Claw. All right. Awesome. Now I want to jump over and do some fun trivia. So, starting off, when Dave Bautista found out he got the role of Drax the Destroyer, he broke down in tears, overjoyed at getting this Marvel comic book role. He prepared for the role with an acting coach. So he was just over the moon excited. Dave Bautista is a huge fanboy of a lot of projects, and so like I know that this meant a lot to him, and I know that we'll probably see him in the DC universe at some point because he, is James Gunn's friend like through and through. But also Dave Bautista is very much campaigning for the role of Marcus Phoenix in the Gears of War movie. So,
right on.
yeah, so that'll be awesome. Vin Diesel recorded all of his lines in several different languages, including Russian, Mandarin, Spanish, Portuguese, German, and French, so that they could use his real voice in the film all around the world.
Nice.
So, no dub actor, all Vin Diesel.
That's awesome.
Chris Pratt apparently stole his Star-Lord costume from the set for the sole purpose of having it available so he could show up in costume to visit sick children in the hospital who might want to meet Star-Lord.
That's really, really awesome.
James Gunn stated that Chris Pratt's audition was so good he was prepared to offer him the role, even if Pratt did not lose weight or get in shape in the time. Gunn joked that he was willing to CGI a six-pack on Pratt's body. However, Pratt asked Gunn to give him 6 months to lose 50 pounds, and he ended up losing 60.
Yeah, because wasn't he the lovable old Andy on
Parks and Rec.
on Parks and Rec? Yeah, and he was a
big boy.
He was a chubby one.
He's a big boy, and now he got shredded for this. So that was awesome. According to Vin Diesel, his performance as Groot helped him through a dark time in his life. He was dealing with the loss of his best friend from the Fast and the Furious, Paul Walker. It was the first time I came back to dealing with human beings after dealing with death. So playing a character who celebrates life in the way Groot does was very nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then one more. Bradley Cooper told Howard Stern that he paid more for voicing Rocket in this movie than starring in Silver Linings Playbook and The Hangover combined.
That's interesting. Wow.
Marvel got that big paycheck.
He got it out to Bradley Cooper from that one. Yeah. Holy moly.
So, yeah, that's it. That's all for today's episode. Thanks so much for joining us on Marvel Movie Mondays. We'll catch you next Monday. Thanks.
We'll see you on next Monday, everyone.